Good morning. Today we look at chapters 20 and 21 of Ezekiel. And yesterday I ended with, the very last line of chapter 21, or maybe it's an introduction to chapter 22. It says, this is a lamentation and is used as a lamentation. But it's, the whole, so far in this book, it's just, God is pouring his heart out for the unfaithfulness of the people. And that continues here. And in chapter 20, some elders come, certain elders of Israel came to consult the Lord and sat down before me, says Ezekiel. And a footnote in one of my Bibles had this date identified as August 14th, 591 BC. How they could be so exact, I have no idea. Or, but anyway, this group of elders comes to sit down in front of Ezekiel. And he says, consult the Lord. And the word of the Lord came then to Ezekiel. And it's just, God is watching and God is there and very much leading Ezekiel, this prophet. And, the word comes and he says, mortal, speak to those elders and say to them, why are you coming to consult me? As I live, I will not be consulted by you. So will you judge them, mortal? Will you judge them for me? Let them know the abominations of their ancestors. And then God goes through and reminds Ezekiel, and through Ezekiel, felt like a sneeze coming, could be through Ezekiel speaking to these elders of the sins of the people. How God says, I knew them when they were in Egypt, and I called them to be my people. And I swore to them, I am the Lord your God. I will bring you out of the land of Egypt and to a land flowing with milk and honey. And so God says, I sought out this promised land, and I did. I led them out of Egypt, took them out of captivity. But even then, they continued to worship these gods of Egypt. They forgot about worshiping me. The Sabbath was set aside for them a Sabbath for them, but as a day to worship me. And what do? They worship these Egyptian idols, and they continued their sacrifices to these idols, and even child sacrifices, and verse 13 says, my Sabbaths they greatly profaned, and I think about, what would God think of our Sabbath today, hopefully we take time out, on Sabbath for worship, for time with God, but I know that, there's an awful lot of people that don't. They don't go to church.